episode number 49 of the Business and Leadership Stories series, right here between Sachin Bhandari and myself. Sachin Bhandari is a leadership coach, a guru from the Story Co. You remember a business presentation that we saw last week? Of course you don't. You're scratching your head. Do you remember stories that you heard a month or 2 or 6 months ago? Of course you do, because that's a hack into the human brain. And Sachin Bhandari and the Story Co. use a lot of them to set home or drive home marketing and communication lessons. So you get a story of the day, and along with it, you get the marketing and communication tips of the day. Today, it's a vital story, but before that, let me introduce my guest. What's up, Sachin? How are you doing?
I'm very good, Hrishi. When you said Sachin is a guru, I immediately imagined myself sitting in linen robes and flowing beard and all of that. You know whose reference I'm.
Completely. How a Bollywood music director duo raised funds. Lots to learn from this. They're wonderful, they're affable, they're friends of mine. Salim-Sulaiman merchant. They've done the whole hog. They've done background scores for movies. Then they started doing movie soundtracks for mainstream motion pictures, whereby it wasn't just the soundtrack, the background score, like Bhoot for Ram Gopal Verma, but actually creating entire soundtracks, like Band Baja Barat, where all the songs are composed by them. And back in 2020, I believe a friend of yours who runs an angel investors network called you with an interesting assignment. He called and said, listen, my team wants to consult with the music director duo Salim-Sulaiman for their investor pitch deck. So tell what happened after that.
Oh, it was a fantastic assignment, Rishi. I really enjoyed working with Salim and Sulaiman. And, as much as they are fantastic musicians, great artists, I think their understanding of communication is so innate, so good, that I just felt that I was actually getting a masterclass in communication as much as I was trying to help them build the narratives for the pitch deck. So when my friend told me, Salim-Sulaiman need to put together a pitch deck for their new company, which is called Merchant Records, which is going to be an indie music label. And I was like, why do they even need a pitch deck? I'm sure that everybody who's anybody knows them. They probably just need to make a few phone calls and the money will start coming in. To which Salim actually on a call said, yes, that's true. But the thing is that even to be able to get the money, we need to at least send them some document, a pitch deck, before explaining a few things. And the one question they needed answered in the pitch deck, Hrishi, was that they are people who've made their fame, name, everything from Bollywood, right? And despite that, they were starting a music label which is going to be about independent music in India. So why so? Why not actually have a music record label for Bollywood music? So there were some ideas that, okay, we should sort of try to skirt that question and talk directly about independent music. And I suggested, no, we should actually start off with the fact that Salim-Sulaiman are really strong in Bollywood. And of course, they made their name and fame from it. But do you also know that they are one of the first set of Indians who got nominated for Emmy Awards? The track that they remixed, Lady Gaga's Born This Way. The remix track actually has more views and more plays than the original track itself. They were the first Indians to perform the FIFA anthem in the Football World Cup. So a lot of interesting things came up while I was doing research for this entire project. And then I said that, hey, you know what, if there are people who already are famous because of Bollywood, but hey, there's more to them than Bollywood music. And not just them, even India has a growing love affair with Bollywood, with independent music artists, because, people like Emiwe Bantai and Divine and all of these people were actually ruling the airwaves during that time, and they continue to do so. And Salim-Sulaiman are now focusing their energies to be able to bring all the resources, the experience that they have from Bollywood and making big hits, to be able to help small-time musicians or independent musicians actually make a mark with their music. So that was the entire narrative that we built in the pitch deck. And I think Salim-Sulaiman, both of them were really happy because they never called and yelled at me and told me that, what the hell did you do for us? So I'm guessing they were happy with the work.
But I do have to say this, that they're the happiest they're working on their independent records and the music, because there's no director or producer to tell them what direction to take. They can pretty much take the direction they want. And it's about mentoring kids, right? Young kids who have the voice to make it really, really big, and to identify them and train them just the right way without overstretching their abilities. And I think he's done a great job.
Yeah, while working on this, Rishi, I also realized, and it's a testament to their perseverance and the ability to back their dream through so many years. And we've been talking about Adu Jeevitam. So Adu Jeevitam took Blessy and Prithviraj 16 years to create and release. Similarly, for Salim and Sulaiman, they had this project, independent music project called Bhumi, which they had conceptualized back in the early 2000s. But this Bhumi folk electronic independent thing came out, I think, back in 2021 or something like that. So they themselves actually continued to believe in the dream for about a year or a decade and a half before it actually came to light. I think a lot of times these days, youngsters like us, I mean, not like me, I was going to say youngsters like us, keep forgetting from time to time that can't call myself that anymore. But a lot of young people think that success needs to be delivered immediately, right? Just like how likes and shares happen on Instagram. But sometimes true success for the things that you really believe in take decades. And that's something that Salim and Sulaiman's story taught me. And while working with them, I think I realized that too.
Wonderful, simple, clear, compelling presentation. It brings businesses, customers, partners, and even investments. And there's no need for the extra glamour when you're doing something like independent music sung inherently by Indian artists. That's their merchant record story. What other communication and marketing tips that we can learn from this small startup by two big Bollywood music directors?
I'm sure there are many communication lessons that we can learn from Merchant Records and Salim and Sulaiman itself. But from this project that I did, I think two things that I would like to tell our listeners. One is that more often than not, I've seen a lot of professionals, business development folks, founders directly start creating presentations from PowerPoints itself, right? At the end of the day, I think no matter what form of communication that you have, it always has to be a narrative. And a narrative is best built out when you're writing on a piece of paper. Like, if it was old school, then you would write with a pen and paper, but otherwise your Google Docs, Word doc, etc. So you write point by point and make sure that it's logical, it makes sense, it's compelling, it's interesting, and then you can get rid of the flab and put them into slides and create a beautiful presentation. So start with Google Docs or a Word doc whenever you are trying to create something interesting, whether it's a presentation or a campaign or anything like that. That's number one. And number two, and this is something, if I'm not wrong, I don't remember the names, but the folks who wrote the Simpsons or the South Park, I can't remember right now. But the screenwriter, the story writers of that said that there's a technique called but and therefore. So every time that you want to build a narrative, it has to end with a but and then start with a therefore. So in this case, it was a bit like Salim-Sulaiman are really popular and they've created great music for Bollywood. But do you know that they are also known for the work that they have done in the indie music scene? And as well, India is falling into a love affair with independent music. Therefore, Salim-Sulaiman have decided to put their energies to be able to help independent artists get a wider audience. So the but and therefore is what makes a narrative or a piece of communication interesting, and I think a lot more people should start thinking in those terms.
Wonderful. Now, as far as a win with newsletter, a win with stories, the newsletter is concerned, it comes on LinkedIn. Sachin Bhandari is the man. Neatly wrapped into a story which becomes a newsletter format, helping founders, entrepreneurs and business owners every single week. If people were to get an appointment with you, where can they reach out, brother man?
It's pretty simple, Hrishi. They can look for Sachin Bhandari on LinkedIn. Sachin is easy. Bhandari is Bhandary. And on my profile, there's a link which says get in touch or stay in touch. So you can either subscribe to my newsletter, Win with Stories, or also book my time on Zoom to discuss how I can help your company, startup, or even your executives win with stories.
Next week is our all-important 50th episode. I look forward to that, my friend. Cheers.
So looking forward to it. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Hrishi. Bye.
94.3 Radio 1.